My dear brothers and sisters in Christ Jesus, these days we reflect on the theme, Martyrdom, God the Distance. Martyrdom is the witness that we are giving to this world. We have to live in this witness for Christ. We have to live with gospel. We have to live with Christ. And we have to go distance for Christ. That is what it means. Martyrdom, go the distance. My dear brothers and sisters, when we think about all the readings of today, or when we reflect on all the readings of today, there we see the sacredness of marriage life. When we connect both the theme, martyrdom, go the distance, as well as the message of married life, the sacredness of married life, we are called as married couples. We have to witness the gospel, we have to witness Jesus Christ through our family life. The whole message or the central message of all the readings of today speaks about bond of love that marriage creates through male and female. This is the bond of love that the marriage creates between the female and the male. This is something permanent bond, inseparable bond, unbreakable bond that God wishes to have in our life. So the permanency, the indissolubility, the sacredness of the marriage should be kept in our own life, in our own family life. My dear brothers and sisters, when we look into the first reading, especially the book of Genesis, there what it tells, this clearly speaks about the original plan of God with regard to the sex and marriage. God says, human beings are created in the image and likeness of God. The human beings, especially created as male and female, they are made for each other. Through the marriage, they are no longer two, they are one in flesh. That is what we see. That is the unbreakable bond that we have there in the marriage life. My dear brothers and sisters, monogamy was the preliminary intention of God. When He instituted or when He joined the male and female, monogamy was the primary goal for God, the Almighty Father. When we look into the second reading, especially the book of Hebrews, there it says, Jesus came to this world and He became one among us. Bone of our bones, the flesh of our flesh. We know that He had the sacrifice and the suffering in His life. Through the marriage, the bride and bridegroom becoming as the king and queen of the church, the universe, or their family life. The bride and bridegroom becomes queen and king of the family life, the husband and wife. Jesus is the eternal King. My dear brothers and sisters, when we look into the life of Jesus, He came to this world and became one among the people, one among the humanity. He suffered and died for us. He brought salvation for each one of us. Through His death and resurrection, we are saved and also we are united in Christ. Through Jesus Christ, we are united with the Almighty Father. That is the unbreakable bond that Jesus is giving each and every one of us. In the family life, like Jesus did, we have to have the suffering and pain in our life. We know that. Human way of thinking. There are problems, there are sufferings in the family life. As Jesus did, we have to take everything in our life and we have to go the distance for Jesus Christ. That is what the theme says. We have to live the martyrdom, we have to live in witness for others in the family life, in our own life. And we have to go the distance for Christ in our family life. When we look into the gospel readings, it is an explicit teaching of Jesus about divorce and marriage. Marriage should be an indissoluble bond. Nobody can separate that. Unless and until God wishes. Death is the reality that can separate the marriage bond. The permanency of the marriage bond. The unbreakable nature of the marriage bond. But dear brothers and sisters, family life, the married life is a sacred thing in our life. But knowingly or unknowingly, in our present day situation, in our modern life, we are forgetting about the divine nature, the divine institution, the divine law of the marriage. Jesus wants to have the monogamy, not polygamy. If the marriage life is destroyed through the divorce, the family life will be destroyed. That will be disturbed. At the same time, the society will be disturbed. Because family makes the society. If the marriage bond is destroyed or destroyed through the divorce, definitely the family life as well as the social life is destroyed. My dear brothers and sisters, in the gospel we see the Pharisees approached Jesus Christ and asking him in order to test him, is it lawful for a husband to divorce his wife? Jesus was telling, what did Moses command you? They told to Jesus, according to the law of Moses, it is permitted for a husband to write a bill of divorce and dismiss her. But Jesus was telling more than that of that. No, it is only because of your hardness of your heart. He forced to write this command of divorce. My dear brothers and sisters, Jesus is asking each and every one of us, especially those who are leading the family life, that is sacred. We have to respect each other. Jesus is not against the Mosaic law. At the same time, he is giving more interpretation of the hardness of the heart. Jesus is calling, in the Old Testament terminology, is hardness of the heart. We know in the book of Deuteronomy, we know that. If a man finds something indecent in a woman, he writes a bill of divorce and dismisses her. That was a practice, that was the law existed among them. But Jesus is telling no. Only because of your hardness of the heart that was happened. The Moses allowed you to go for divorce only because of your hardness of the heart. Jesus is giving another meaning for the Old Testament terminology, hardness of the heart. It is hardened conscience. Jesus is calling like that, hardened conscience. What it means? Hardened conscience means there is a tendency to do sin in our life. Willfully we are disobeying the will of God. That is what it is happening in this today's world. We know that our married life is sacred, something sacred. Our married life is pure. Our marriage bond is indissoluble. Our marriage bond is unbreakable. Even then, we all have a tendency to do sin in our life. Willfully we are going to have the disobedience of the law of Jesus. My dear brothers and sisters, Jesus is telling each and every one of us this indissolubility as well as the permanency of the marriage is out of the society today. Reflect on our own life. What is the meaning of the sacredness of married life, the family life in our own life? We have to think about that. My dear brothers and sisters, one thing I would like to say, we are united in Christ, not in the cultural differences. We may have many cultures among the society, in the society. But one thing we should notice that we are not united in culture of the society. We are united with Jesus Christ. We are supposed to follow the divine rules and regulations of the marriage, what church has given each and every one of us. That is what it means, the indissolubility of the marriage, the sacredness of the marriage. Just have a reflection on our own life. The infidelity of marriage life happening in our life. The incestuous behavior happening in our own life. The pre-sexual marriage happening in the society. The quarreling happening there in the society, there in the family. The husbands and wife going away from the family. Jesus is telling, if you are looking at a woman with sinful nature, with a sinful eye, you committed adultery. What it means for us, dear brothers and sisters. What a wonderful and a joyful family life that God has given us. While joining each and every husband and wife, God doesn't mean that you have to go away from the family life. You are united in Christ. That is the sacredness of the marriage life. My dear brothers and sisters, when we reflect on these biblical passages, this is the message that we have to imbibe in our own life. We have to cultivate in our life. We have to reflect personally where we are. Are we really leading a life of Christian married life, meaningfully and willfully, where I am faithfully following my own married life? Made each other for partners, not for separation, isn't it? Jesus is telling, when one is joined with his wife, he is no longer two personalities. You are one. Nobody can separate that. Only death can separate you from your marriage relationship. My dear brothers and sisters, we should have a communication, the genuine communication in our family life. We should have a proper understanding in our family life. The feminine and the masculine, we have many qualities in our life. We have to respect each other. We have to understand each other. The husband and wife is not mere the object. That is the gift given by God. In its totality, we have to understand each and every one of us. Both of us have to understand. And whatever problems happening in our life, divorce is not the criterion for the same. Jesus suffered in his life. He has not gone away from the will of God. The will of God is monogamy, not polygamy. If we have the problems in our own family, in our own personal life, we both of us has to sit together and reflect on it. Accept the strength and the weakness of the both. That will lead you to have a better life in your married life, in your family life. So that you will become martyrdom for Christ. So that your married life, your family life will come witness for Jesus Christ. So go the distance for Jesus Christ while leading a good life, good family life in this world. That is what Jesus is telling today. Both the themes, today's gospel message as well as all other readings, and also our own series themes reflects the same. We have to lead a witness for gospel. We have to live in Jesus Christ and go the distance for Jesus Christ. May God bless you all.